Let's talk about its impact on the president's agenda. We're joined by West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Senator Manchin, thanks for joining us this morning. You know, you've called for a strategic pause on the president's Build Back Better plan, the $3.5 trillion plan. But party leaders, from the president to Speaker Pelosi to Leader Schumer, have all rejected that call for a pause. Schumer says it's full speed ahead in the Senate. It can't pass the Senate without your vote. So where do things stand right now?
Well, George, I've been very clear, I think, and I think a strategic pause is necessary right now. We have the unknown, and the unknown is everything you've been talking about. COVID, what's going to happen with COVID, what it'll do to the economy. No one's talking about inflation or debt, and we should have that as part of the discussion. And then the geopolitical, what's going on around the world and what type of challenges we may face. So the unknown is there, and we don't know what that's going to partake. What we do know is that basically the need for this, the emergency to do something in the next week is not there. We've done $5.4 trillion, George, over the last year and about a year and a half. $5.4 trillion. A lot of that money is still going out the door. There's no one going to be left behind for the rest of this year and most of next year. So the urgency, I can't understand why we can't take time, deliberate on this and work.
Back in January, you proposed spending $4 trillion on infrastructure. So what changed?
Well, you're talking about that was about 4.5 trillion they had talking about. Is that what you're talking about? What the president?
Yeah, you were saying we've spent about
having both of those put together. And I said from day one, these are two complete different categories. The one we have in front of us right now that's already passed in a bipartisan way with 19 Republicans, George, is the hardcore infrastructure, the roads, the bridges, internet, water, sewer, all the things that have been neglected for the last 30 years. The president went out and campaigned on this. He went out and sold this thing. We all got behind him. We had a bipartisan deal. And I think it's the greatest thing that we could do. That's the one that has the urgent and emergency that we have. Let's get that one done. It's sitting over in the House right now.
But if the bill is fully paid for and doesn't add to the deficit, the unknown that you're concerned about, one of them is inflation. That's not really a concern, is it, if the bill is fully paid for?
Well, George, basically, if the bill is fully paid for, why did they put $1.7 trillion of borrowing power in the language? And next of all, it's only run out for 10 years, okay? So if some of the things we know will never go off, so you should be more accurate to what the real number is going to be. I'm just saying right now, George, we're at $28.750 billion, $28,750,000,000, and it goes up $4 to $5 billion every day. No one's even talking. Inflation. People are talking to me in West Virginia about the price of gas, the price of everything they buy, including their groceries, how it's affecting them. So I think we need to see what we're doing right now and the effects we're having. No one is saying they're losing their benefits because they're going to extend up through next year. Why are we rushing for this 1 week? Why do we have to have everything done in 1 week?
You mentioned the bipartisan infrastructure bill that has the support of Republican senators, but it's also drawn the opposition of progressives who don't think it should happen unless there's also progress on the bigger reconciliation bill. Here's a tweet last night from Senator Bernie Sanders, who's coming up on the program next. We're not going to build bridges just so our people can live under them. No infrastructure bill without the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. Are you concerned we're going to end up with nothing?
I just respectfully disagree with Bernie. I've never seen us in legislation. I never thought the purposes of the progress that we make in legislation was basically hold one hostage over the other. You have a bipartisan bill in the most toxic atmosphere that we've ever had politically. The president has pushed on this, and he says, we're going to do this bipartisan. It's in the House right now. We could pass that one, and we can still go on to reconciliation. We can debate it. We can discuss it. We can have hearings on it. Make sure whatever we do it and do it right and don't put more out there that's not needed or basically put ourselves further in debt. We can have those discussions, but why would you hold something that's as needed as this, as far as the hard infrastructure, that's been basically neglected for 30 years and just sit back and say, well, we can't do that. If you don't need bridges fixed or roads fixed in your state, I do in West Virginia. I need internet in West Virginia. I got water and sewage problems. I've got all the problems that we have addressed in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And that's the one that has the emergency.
So what's your bottom line? How long should the pause last? And what's the most you would accept in a final reconciliation bill?
Chuck, I know that, George, everyone's putting a timetable and putting a hard cap. Shouldn't we, first of all, the reason we're on reconciliation, I voted to go on reconciliation because I believed that the 2017 tax codes were weighted to the high-end wealthy. I believed it was weighted unfairly by the working people. and I thought we needed to make some adjustments. But I'm not going to make adjustments on how much I want to spend. I'm going to make the tax adjustments on what I think keeps us competitive, looking at the global rates, looking at things that we're doing, making sure the wealthy are paying, making sure all corporations are paying something to have the privilege of doing business in America. I think all that needs to be done. And we ought to see what kind of money that spends off and then basically match that up with the highest priorities and needs we have. That's all I've asked for, and we haven't had that honest debate.
Senator Manchin, thanks for your time this morning. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.